The most powerful weapon in the world is your brain. Put away your phones, computers, and everything else we have these days. Sure, it's great that we're modern and you know yourself, but when it comes to depression, hard times, or death in real life, your brain is all you have. You can't Google that man, you're alone. Sure, you can consult a shrink or your best friend, but there are only so many hours in a day where you're alone in this brain, and it's talking to you in all kinds of ways, and it wants to control you and pull you into these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and it controls you, you have to tell it where you want to go, how you want to get there, and how you want to get there. If you can't, it will take over. However, at the time, all I knew about making things work was that hard work was the only way things got done. Back then, you had to put in a lot of work. I'm not sure how I failed this test and recall what this paragraph is about to get back into the military. I'm still not getting it read again, but it's not getting it. Write it down. After that, I began to realize that, well, I can't. I have to write down everything I do. And then, guess what? I've finally realized that I'm not a good swimmer. I'm not buoyant, so please return. I am not a swimmer. Go back, go back, go back. I understand now. If I keep returning, till this simply becomes your mind was safe, it's like I'm going to try again, no, I'm going to, and then it's like the lengthy clock goes off, boop, we're going back, I can't read correctly, we're going back. Alright, we're going to figure it out because he is not going to give up. My intellect recognized that they had said, okay, when I offered myself no way out. As much as people say that when you try hard, your mind knows that this guy is a bully who is lying, and there is no truth to it, but when I was a Navy SEAL training people, they would say things like, oh, how are you there for 18 months? The program is always 6 months long. You were in 3 hell weeks in a year. No one's ever done that. How did you do that? I talked about the new norm when I lived in the $7 per month place and I loved it. I don't know if you know of any other situation, but that was my normal. Once we moved to a $236 monthly place, I thought, I never want to go back to that little pieces. However, if I go back to that $76,000 monthly place and realize that's all I have, my mind tells me that this is home. Therefore, when I went through all the difficult parts of Navy SEAL training for 18 months and repeated them over and over again, I told myself that after the first time I knew this could be a long journey there, my body was breaking down because that's just how it was going to be. This is my new normal, so I'm going to work like you do, put on your suit, and suffer every day from being broken, duct-taped feet, stress fractures, and shin splints. That's my new normal. Your mind then tells you that if we're not broken, just say normal, then we must be broken, so more and more cast people ask, how did you run on broken feet, broken shins, and broken shins? How did you manage that? Realizing that this is how we operate as Navy SEAL training. What we are, in terms of health, has become my new normal. That was my mindset, and that's how you get through things. You put yourself, you immerse yourself wherever it is that you become that you give yourself nowhere. Yeah, when I was tours in 97 pounds and I was fat as hell trying to be a Navy SEAL. I loved God, but for a brief period of time I became the devil because that was hell I became. I became the boss, the owner, the CEO of Navy SEAL training. The thing that scares me the most, even to this day, is that I could have lived that life. I reasoned that since I was trying so hard, and that was the scariest thing in the world. After working for Ecolab for 2 or 3 years, spraying cockroaches for $1,000 a month, I believed that I was at my best. However, a few years later, I realized that I wasn't even close to that 106 pounds less, graduating from Navy SEAL training. That was my attempt at trying hard, and that's how others came to comprehend what's inside of us, until we begin to truly strive hard, to the point where we become fixated on something like, hey, this is my new normal. People hear my tale and assume this person is sadistic. My new normal is that, gosh, this isn't always pleasant. It's not always meant to be fun, and that's when you know you're trying hard. I understand how the brain functions. I also know that I'm a fearful child, which is why I have so much strength. The feeling you get is basically invincibility, but you realize that you can't do it all the time when you need to. For example, you know that you can run on broken legs and accomplish certain things that many people can't do, but they're not willing to do it. This power comes from your sympathetic nervous system's fight-or-flight response, which gives you this surge of energy when you're fighting. You can feed into that and tap into that for a lot of power, but if you look at it while I'm broken man, like I'm not gonna make it if you look at it as man. For example, imagine yourself sitting there at 3 or 4 in the morning, duct taping your broken feet. You're doing it alone, and you're going to do arguably one of the hardest training sessions in the world, and these guys, the most of them healthy. I'm broken, but I'm still here, fighting, and I'm going to find a way to get through this because I don't know where else to turn. It gives you a lot of power when things get really, really bad. My brain, and the brains of many other people, don't go to your dad beating you up. Instead, they say, win it right here, this is miserable. As a result, anger often disappears when you're in pain because your brain tells you that you have to run, so it doesn't resurface with anger. I will demonstrate to them. I want to demonstrate to those individuals that there is a deeper level required. If I may use that term, it must be at a level of mineral soil, that is, a nice mineral soil where nothing can burn, you cannot burn dirt. It must be at a level that is literally a submenu, your soul's core, and you can only find it by devoting a great deal of time to achieving your goals in life. When do you find your true calling in life? For me, it was wanting to serve my country, which I cared about, to be someone I could be proud of, and to look at myself in the eyes of Americans. I was disappointed in the accountability man I talked about, and I was disappointed in what I saw every day. I wanted everyone to love David Goggins, and many did, but I also knew that many of us wanted to find peace first, so I'm going to say, man, you always talk about this suffering and pain. I'm at peace right now because I'm going to do that. If you don't find peace first, Merry Christmas and more power to you. I found peace on the other side of finding myself, and nobody truly finds themselves without going through hardships. Being accountable for doing what's right for yourself and the people around you every day is painful. It's difficult to know even the smallest details you